And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Jonesin' with Jeff Drake.
Hey kids, this is Jeff Drake. Welcome to the Jones with Jeff Drake show. Got a great episode for you that we're working on tonight. I got Jason Kotwitz from the Oxys with me. That's going to be fun. It'll be our third time trying this. The first time we were still dealing with the echo issues that we had. That's all solved. The second time, my cat Piewacket jumped on the laptop and unplugged everything, and we lost everything that we had. So we're going to have to do it again. Jason's being a good sport. I've already wasted a lot of his time doing this, but we're going to get it right this time, I hope. Anyway, I got a text message from Plonk about a week ago, and he was saying, Jeff, I think you ought to do like a 4 or 5 minute monologue before the guest comes on, a la Carson. And Plonk is part French, and so he sometimes says stuff like a la Carson in his text. I knew what he meant. And I sent back a response saying, Plonk, you're forgetting number one, I'm really lazy. Number two, 4 or 5 minutes is a long time, especially when you have to fill it up with words, especially coherent words. And number three, I don't have a team of writers like a la Carson, So I don't know, man. And he responded and he said, Jeff Drake, sir. And he had tears streaming down his cheeks. And I'm just imagining that part because it was a text. But he said, our mission here is to provide high quality, sophisticated entertainment for our viewers. And I think it would be fantastic if you did a monologue. And I agreed. I think, it might be fantastic. And the best way to influence me is to flatter me. That always works. And so I'm going to, maybe not 4 or 5 minutes. That's a long time. It's probably been about, I don't know, 2 minutes so far. But anyway, this is to make Plonk happy. I usually don't care what he says. This time, I had to agree with him. It's our duty, our obligation to provide sophisticated, high quality entertainment. So that's what we're trying to do here. Anyway, my guest tonight, like I said, is Jason Kotwitz from the Oxys. A great guy, great guitar player, great band. The Joneses did a series of shows with them and the Hangmen last month. We did 3 shows with the Oxys. They're a good people, good band, fun to watch because they're all moving around all the time. Great songs. And they've got a new record out called Casting Girls Before Swine on Cleopatra Records. Everybody needs to run out and get it. Jason was kind enough to give me one when I saw him on the road last month. He was out here in California. And so I want to welcome to the show, Jason.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Good to see you again after those shows that we did last month. Had a good time. How about you?
I've had a great time. I think I'm fully recovered. How about yourself?
I don't know if I'll ever recover, especially financially. We I don't want to go into that, but anyway, I had a really good time with you guys. Good people, like I said, fun to be around. I loved watching your band. You guys have a lot of energy. Everybody moves around except the drummer, but he's doing his drummer thing. But it's hard to focus on just one member because everybody's doing something. Holly's doing this in between her chords, and she's the girl with the big headstock on the Telecaster there. You guys had a good time last month?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was just the couple shows for us. So we, it wasn't really a tour. It was just kind of we're out doing shows and enjoying our time in California.
Right. So we did 2 shows, 2 nights in a row, and then you guys missed the third show, and we did a fourth show in San Diego on the fourth night. What'd you guys do on that third night?
The third, we went to San Clemente and sat on the beach all day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful.
We went out in the desert and got ripped off again. But anyway, that's a good story. So anyway, you call your band the Oxys. It's sort of a potent opiate. How much heroin do you do every day, Jason?
Not enough. Not enough
No.
to get through. No.
And what like the Oxys? Do you do the 80s, the 40s, the 10s? What is it? You cut them in half, smoke them. How do you do your Oxys?
Um, Boy, it just depends. Usually I drop it in my coffee in the morning.
Oh, nice. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
It's sort of a up and down at the same time kind of deal, huh? I'll have to try that.
Speedball effect. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Good idea. Anyway, so you've got like I said, an exciting band. You've got a girl in your band. You've got Holly G, right? That's her last name, G. Holly G. She plays that
Yes.
Telecaster, like I said, with the big headstock, the Telecaster Deluxe.
Hmm.
What's it like having a girl in the band? Problems? Fun?
I mean, without getting into the stereotypes, it hasn't been too bad. It hasn't been too bad. I mean, there's a elevated level of excitement, I guess we'll call it.
Drama, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, if the shoe fits,
Is
it's
she
it's
pretty
exciting.
vocal?
It's exciting.
Is she
Is
pretty
she?
vocal?
Yeah,
Vocal?
yeah. Yeah. She's got a lot on her mind.
And she lets you know about it?
Yes, yes.
Cool, cool. I sometimes I see posts that you made. You guys won some awards back in the Midwest. I guess that was a couple months ago, right? You guys did like a little Midwest jaunt, and you were mentioning that your band is always at each other's throats. I mean, is that really a common thing? And how close does it come to like fisticuffs, or like knives coming out? What happens really? What do you guys fight about?
You know, just attitudes. There's a lot of ego in the band, and like I said, everyone's got everyone's got something to say all the time, and unfortunately we have five people that no one holds back at all, so it's all out there all the time.
And that probably adds to like the excitement on stage because you guys are wanting to kill each other, and it's kind of like the Kinks or Oasis or I don't know. We've all in the Joneses, we've all known each other for like 40 years or so. So that's
Mhm.
we've all been good friends. So that doesn't really happen with us. It's like a big family of old guys.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I think we play better when we're pissed off, honestly.
yeah,
Like, yeah, if we're heated before we go on stage, it's going to be a good show.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So how did you find Holly? Did you teach her how to play guitar? Or was she pretty accomplished before she joined?
No, I didn't teach her. She learned on her own, and she'd played since she was younger. Uh, and I'd known her for years, and we were looking for a guitar player, and it was just kind of the right place, right time. I was having a conversation with her and just said, "Hey, are you playing with anyone right now? Because I know a band that needs a rhythm guitar player." Kind of, some simple like that. I didn't really put too much thought into it. Like I said, it was just literally the right place, right time.
Uh-huh.
Kind of.
And do you like having two guitars in the band? Do you like having a rhythm guitar that sort of fills out the sound, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I love two guitars in the band because when I write all the music, I intentionally write contrasting guitar parts on each side, on the left and the right. The guitars are kind of interwoven in a way, like any of the great two guitar bands. I'm not saying we're great. I'm just saying that that's kind of what I'm going for. Is you got the Rolling Stones, you had Cheetah Chrome, Jimmy Zero, and Dead Boys. You have
Yeah,
uh,
go
Brad Whitford and Joe Perry. I could go on all day. Angus and Malcolm. There's always that two guitar interaction, and I'm a big fan of
right.
that. So yeah, I like having another guitar player.
Okay. And so when you guys record, do you pan the guitars like that so you can pick them out individually with headphones on? You like that?
Yeah, yeah, I do. They're panned left and right. It's not a hard pan, but they're panned.
Okay. And how's the new record doing? That's Casting Pearls Before Swine on Cleopatra, right?
Yeah. So far it's doing great. It's been received well in the media. All the reviews are favorable. Don't recall anyone trashing it too bad up until this point. So
Well,
that's
I
a
would say
victory.
you guys are a great band. You won some awards, right? Tell us about the awards.
Okay, those were in Indianapolis, and every Saturday night for the last 25 years, Greg Brenner has had punk rock night at the Melody Inn, kind of an institution in Indianapolis, and really the only game in town for what we do. Um, and this year we played their award show, but we were nominated for, I think, best non-local album, um,
Because
best
Indianapolis is
non-local.
a hotbed of punk rock, right?
You would be surprised. There are, yeah, there's a decent scene there for sure. You had Sloppy Seconds come out of there, Zero Boys, uh, and then I mean there's always a lot of local punk bands there.
And in the 1920s, Indianapolis was like a hotbed of the KKK. It was really Indiana was just
Yeah.
like they had a KKK governor, and the state government was taken over by the KKK. Indiana is kind of known to be like a northern southern state.
Yeah, when did you say 1920? Because I'm pretty sure it's probably about like that in 2020 as well.
Cool. So anyway, so the record's doing good. You got. I know you're writing a lot of songs. We were talking about that last time. Are you getting ready for another record already? Are you taking a little break? What's going on with the band right now?
No, we're just finishing up the new. So we have a new record written that we'll go in and track it here probably in the next month or two, and then mix it down. I don't even know if we're going to shop it to anyone or who's going to put it out. Like, I'm so over the business end of it. I'm stoked about writing and recording music, but I'm kind of putting the business stuff out of my head for right now, so I can do the record like I want.
Yeah, you don't have to complain to me about that. I know all about it. This last thing that we just did, it bummed me out the way that the guys that weren't in the bands were handling it. The managers and the booking agents, and it's like, parasites. I wish they would have just left us alone. We don't use any of that stuff. We're just kind of like a bunch of pirates out there doing our own thing. But it was the gigs were fun. The bands were all good. The people that came out to see it were great. If it wouldn't have been for all that other stuff, I would have had a really good time. But there you go. So you guys are a punk rock band. You don't make any bones, about that. But what's with the long hair, man? Your hair's longer than mine ever was, and I wasn't in a punk rock. I was just in a long hair band.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, right now, I definitely need a haircut for sure. It's a little longer than usual. I try not to obsess on it too much. I don't know. I've had long hair since I was a young kid, but that's probably because I grew up with music in the 70s, before Sid Vicious, and all those guys had long hair. So I grew my hair long, and I never cut it.
And that's all right. That's not a wig.
No, that's not a wig. I don't even know what I'd look like with short hair. So part of me not getting my hair cut is I have no fucking idea what I'd look like. That's scary.
Okay. And one day you'll wish you had more hair if you're anything like me. I mean, every day I look in the mirror and go, what happened to where's my hair, man? Anyway.
Yeah.
You have that to look forward to. You're still a young man. So, I forgot what I was going to say. What do you got to say, Jason?
Well, I'd like to first of all, I'd like to compliment the Joneses on your show, because when we played with you guys, you were great, and your band is fantastic.
I'm lucky to have a lot of talented friends, and all the guys in my band are friends. There's a funny story about our bass player, Paul. I've known him since he was 12 years old. He came to see a Joneses show with his uncle back in 1982 and loved the band. He's been a huge fan ever since. Back in the 90s, after I got out of prison, he would come to every show. We called him the number one Joneses. He's going to hate me saying this, but we used to call him the number one Joneses fan because he was at every show. I don't understand why he doesn't like that, because I think it's great. But anyway, so he's been a part of the Joneses family for a long time. And then when he heard we were looking for a bass player, he went out and bought a bass and a bass amp, and he was a guitar player already, so it's not like he had to start from scratch. But and now he's in the band, and so it's a great fit. Like I said, I'm really fortunate to have some really talented friends. But thanks for giving us those props. Those shows were a lot of fun. I thought all the three bands were great. We could all play really well. And your band is like a bunch of whirling dervishes, man. People moving on stage, a lot of energy, and I'll say passion. Holly's doing this all the time, and the bass player's moving around, and you're doing your thing, and you got the singer. Do you guys choreograph that, or how do you keep from bumping into each other and knocking each other out?
Oh no, we do bump into each other, and this goes back to what you were saying earlier when you were asking me about, is there any confrontation in the band? Don't think that I don't hear about it every single night from Phil, Holly, and Michael. It's like, Michael keeps getting in my way. I'm doing this and that. He's stepping on my cord. Like, oh, Phil's pulling my cables out of my pedals or whatever. Dude, it's never ending. So
Sometimes
we don't.
when we get a little, I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
No, we don't choreograph any of that.
Okay.
So, but yes, I mean, there's constant like collisions on stage and things like that.
And sometimes I know you're kind of the head honcho in the band. When they get a little mouthy with you, do you like bump into them a little harder than normal? Give them an elbow, elbows up.
No, not really. Like sometimes Michael will come across the stage and like stand by me, and I'll just give him a dirty look, and he'll go away, and that's cool. Phil's probably the only one that I like physically touch or swing at or anything. Like if he gets too close to me, I'll give Phil the shoulder every once in a while or back into him, just because I'm pretty territorial on my side, because it's just me on my side of the stage. Right. So I'm not used to dealing with anyone over there. So if someone gets in my territory, I'm not super friendly about it.
I hear you, man. I'm up in the middle there, and I got the mic right in front of me, and my hands are full of guitar. And we've got this friend that plays with us every now and then called Pat French, the harmonica player. And he likes to play roller derby on stage. And he'll come up behind me and smash into me, and I end up eating the mic. Makes me unhappy. I don't like that very much. I don't like you. I like, give me my space. I don't want to get knocked into the microphone. I don't want to get knocked down.
Yeah.
Don't knock my guitar out of tune. Stay away from me. I'm grouchy when I'm on stage, because
So the harmonica player you're talking about, was he at the LA show?
He was. He played a show with the Hangman that night. Pat French, great harmonica.
Yeah. That guy was great.
Yeah, he's good.
He was so good. Yeah.
He's the harmonica player on our Keeping Up with the Joneses record on Black Cat Bone and all that stuff. That's him playing harmonica. And he usually plays with us all the time, but he's in the penalty box now. For those shows that we just did, there was some, I don't know. Anyway, he needed to sit in the corner and think about what he'd done. But it's all good. We're good friends. He was the best man at my wedding, and we've been, close friends for a long, long time. Great harmonica.
So tell me this. Am I dreaming this up, or did your drummer tell me that he engineered one of the early Joneses records?
That's true. If you want, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
He was the engineer on the Keeping Up with the Joneses record that we did in 1986. Mm-hmm. And after Paul Mars threw a temper tantrum and stormed out of the studio, we got this guy named Glenn Holland, who's actually he's not on the recording, but his picture's on the record because Paul quit before we took the picture for the cover. Anyway, so this guy Glenn Holland was in the band, and we used to rehearse in the recording studio where we recorded that. We were there for rehearsal one night, and Glenn didn't show up. He actually quit the band without telling anybody, just stopped showing up. So that was the first night. So we're standing there, we've got all our equipment on us, and everything's turned on. We're like, where's Glenn? And I'm like, just kiddingly, I said, hey, is there a drummer in the house? And what's really funny is the producer of the record, Dan Van Patten, was a drummer in the band Berlin. And he didn't want to do it. And he said, you should have Mike do it. Mike Sessa. I'm like, who? And he's like, oh, Mike, the guy that engineered your record. He's been sitting here, for the last couple months, the whole time. But Mike back then at least was really quiet. He had like an afro and, didn't say much. And he's like, yeah, I know all your songs. I'm like, you do? And he's like, yeah. I engineered the record. I know every song, so he got up and he knew he did. He played straight through everything. It was great. And so he's been my drummer more often than not for the last 40 years.
Oh, cool. He was fun to watch. I enjoyed talking to him.
He's a great drummer. Like I said, I think he's been on every recording that we've done since then, except the Anita Fix record. And that's because he was playing with a band in Richmond, I think, or on tour or something, and he couldn't do it. But yeah, he's always my first choice when we're doing anything. And luckily for me, he's been able to do it pretty much all the time since 1986, with just a couple exceptions. That one record, Anita Fix, and then also we did some shows with Paul Mars in the 20-teens. And I'm going to stick with Mike as much as I can in the future.
Yeah.
I think he's great.
Yeah, he was great. And I mean, I was surprised to learn, Dave was playing in your band, because I was a big Super Beast fan, back in in that time. So I was really excited to get to play with him as well. He's a great guitar player.
Yeah, Dave's great. I was also a Super Beast fan. I used to go to all their shows, or when I could, and we became friends. And then we started playing together in the '90s. We were going to do a band called the Injectors that we never ended up doing a show because no one would book us. They kept saying, "Well, we'll give you like a Tuesday night at like 6 p.m., but if you want to call yourselves the Joneses, we'll give you a Saturday night headlining." And so the Injectors just became the Joneses again. And I think right after that, I did Amanda Jones or the Vice Principals. I'm not sure, but then Dave got back in the band after Todd Youth passed away, which was tragic. But yeah, Dave's great. We're good friends, and yeah, it's great having Dave in the band. He's a great guitar player, real pro.
Todd played with you guys?
Todd Youth was in the band a couple of years right before he died. He did. I was living up in Central California, and I would come down. We would set up shows like we did, I think, 2 shows in Southern California one year, and then the next year we did a couple in Southern California and then a couple in the San Francisco Bay Area. I would come down, we would do one rehearsal and then do the shows 2 years in a row. And then right after that, I think he was already using when he was in the Joneses because there were signs, and it just, he was like me. He was sort of a notorious drug user, and was, the word on the street was he was clean, and he never, he used to, if he saw me having a drink or something, he would sort of get on me about that, because he was supposed to be clean. Anyway, one night we did a show and he disappeared with all the money. And I'm sort of the leader of the band, so I'm used to me getting paid. And he took off with all the money. And then the next night we played at this place with this band called Tiger Army. It was a big show, and he was like 2 hours late for the sound check. So there were signs. But it just never connected. I just never suspected. And then not too long after that, he passed away. Got a hold of some fentanyl, or I don't know what happened exactly.
Yeah, I played with him. I first met him. It was late. Like, I think I played with him in like 2005 when he was playing in that band Chelsea Smiles. And of interest, they covered Pillbox that night when I saw them. And then I saw Todd again, and I saw him several times over the years, but I ran into him at Punk Rock Bowling in 2019, I want to say. And I talked to him. We were hanging out, and I talked to him outside the Gold Nugget, and he seemed like he was, straight as an arrow at that time from the Todd I knew, And
yeah,
when I heard that, it was a bummer.
Yeah, guys like me and him, I guess, are good at hiding it. For a long time, I mean, I had a bad reputation, but for a long time, anyway, nobody knew about all that. But the way I met Todd was my friend Ed Colgan was at a Chelsea Smiles show in Phoenix, and he heard them. He was in the bathroom or something, and heard them playing Pillbox. He's like, "Hey, man, they're doing a Joneses song." So he talked to them afterwards. He said, "Hey, Jeff Drake's a good friend of mine," and they're like, "Oh man, we'd love it if he could come up and play." So they flew me to Phoenix one time, and I got up on stage and played it with them. And then I think the next night or a couple nights later, I did it with them in San Francisco, and then I think a couple times in LA. And so we got to be friends and stuff. And I would we had Chelsea Smiles open for us one night at the Viper Room. And then I don't remember how he got into the Joneses, but yeah, he did a couple years with the Joneses right before he died. I think it was in, like I said, the mid-teens. I think the shows we did were 2015, 2016. And I don't know how long it was after that before he died, but it didn't seem like it was very long.
Was that after he was playing with like Glenn Campbell? And I know he did like a stint with Ace Frehley, and he played with Michael Monroe for a while. Was that after or before? Do you know?
He was, during the time he was playing with the Joneses was when he was doing the Glenn Campbell stuff. And also he said he was writing songs with Cheap Trick at that time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know about the other stuff. I hate to speak bad about the Dead. The thing I didn't like about playing with Todd is at that time, he was using a lot of wah-wah, and that's just not really a Joneses sound. I had a hard time explaining to him what I was looking for, I guess. Anyway, but he was a very accomplished guitar player. And, you mentioned Ace Frehley, and I saw a post that you did on Facebook the day, and it was about your wonderful wife, Erica, right? Erica Cotwood.
Yes.
And she gave you a Tommy Thayer mug that was masquerading as an Ace Frehley mug. You want to tell that story?
Well, I sure that was, we first got together. It was, I think, 2000, late 2017, and I remember it was shortly after that, maybe a year. She she came into my house and she saw the memorabilia and everything, so she got me what she thought was an Ace Frehley mug. I opened it, thinking, oh wow, it's an Ace mug, and I held it up, and I'm
It's amazing you
no,
stayed with her after that. What a slap in the
that's
face.
yeah, I took it personally a little bit, but we've worked through that, and like I said, I took her to meet Ace in San Antonio one night, so she got to meet him face to face. So
I saw.
now I know that mistake won't happen again.
How did you mask your disgust when you opened it up and figured out that it was a Tommy Thayer mug? How did you cover, or did you? I mean, or did you just let her have it?
No,
Like, I don't know.
no.
if this
There
is okay.
there was no masking my disgust. Like
How could you?
much like everyone in the Oxys, no one can mask anything. So
I understand. I was just talking to somebody earlier about sometimes I forget to put in my filter, and I have a little trouble socializing sometimes. So anyway, back when I was about 13, I was also a Kiss fan. I bought Dress to Kill when it first came out because I heard
mhm.
Rock and Roll All Night on the radio and I loved it. I bought the 45 first and I took it home. I was playing it so much, my uncle came over and took it off the record player and flung it like a frisbee and said, I think I've heard enough of that song. And so then I had to go out and buy the album. And I think I bought Kiss Alive after that. And what came after that? Rock and Roll Over or Destroyer? And I was disappointed. And I didn't like another record they did until Love Gun, and then nothing after that. So I was a Kiss fan for a minute, but you still love them, I guess.
I grew up with it at a very young age. So my dad, I remember it was Christmas 1979, and I was 5, and we went out to, back then, was called the dime store, and they had records in the dime store, the neighborhood shop, and he was looking for the Elvis Christmas album. So I was standing there going through the records, and he just asked me, he's like, oh, do you see anything you want? And I look over and I see the Kiss albums. So I immediately walk over and start looking at them, and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I want this. I want this. And so that Christmas, I got Ace Frehley's solo album because my parents didn't know Kiss at all. They just grabbed whatever the fuck was on the shelf, And I got the Kiss, I got Ace Frehley's solo album, and I got Kiss Double Platinum. I got the Bill Aucoin Kiss makeup set.
Wow.
Which I have a photo of me and my sister and my cousin dressed up like Kiss when we were really little. So I've been listening to them for not a majority of my adult life, but a majority of my life.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things when you listen to music at such a young age. I generally don't go put on Kiss albums now, but when Kiss comes on, it takes me back to a happy place. So
yeah, I think by 1979 I was already away from Kiss. I was into other stuff, but I did like Christine 16 and Shock Me off of Love Gun. And I think the first time I was exposed to him at all was on the Midnight Special. I saw him. I'm like, what is this? These guys like from a horror movie or what's going on? I mean, I was 13 or something. I'm like, what? Anyway, like I said, I started hearing that Rock and Roll All Night song. And they played it a lot on the radio, and I went and bought the 45 anyway. Kiss.
Those old New York guys that I play with, like Sylvain from the Dolls or Cheetah from Dead Boys. Man, I could not even bring up that band's name at all around them, or they would just. I remember Cheetah driving across town in Austin one time, and I had the Ace Frehley cassette in my car or whatever, and he just turns and looks at me with the most wretched look on his face. He's like, Jesus Christ, is this Ace Frehley? Just pure disgust. And of course, I'm sure Sylvain felt slighted to some degree since Kiss totally stole the Doll's bag,
Right. And they must feel the way about Kiss that I feel about Guns N' Roses. It's like, they went on to be the biggest band in the universe for a minute. I'm like, what? What is this? How,
yeah.
This is torturous. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, Ace Frehley just passed away. That's so sad. He was always my favorite member.
Yeah.
Even when I was 13 or 14, I went to a Halloween party, and I think it must have been 1974, 75, and I had the Ace Frehley makeup. Me and
Hmm.
a couple of my friends went as the band, and I was Ace Frehley. And he just seemed like, the coolest one. I never liked Paul Stanley or Gene Simmons. I thought they were just a little too over the top, a little too much for me. Especially, well, actually, both of them equally. Yeah, 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 yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Chaim or whatever his name is, and it's funny to see Paul Stanley's cab driver license when people post it online.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it.
So what's coming up for the Oxys? You guys said you just got done recording your new record, or you're in the midst of it, or what's going on?
No, we have the new record. It's written. We're just kind of going back over it. Maybe adjust some song structures here or there. I mean, our song structures aren't too complicated anyway. It's not. We're not. It's not any sort of rocket science going on, But there are some things we'll probably go back, give it a second listen, maybe adjust some structures. Then we'll go in the rehearsal room and we'll bang it out, and then we'll hightail it to the studio. And I think this album we're going to cut it live in the studio, and see how that
Cool.
goes.
Yeah. How long does it usually take you guys to record an album?
3 days.
3 days?
Yeah, usually. I mean, before we go in, we have a real good idea of what we're doing. I like to set up our grid and everything for the engineer if I can, and be like, okay, here it is. Here's the layout of the album. Here's all the songs, any supplemental parts, keyboards and stuff. I'll track those before I go in the studio. Sometimes I'll track guitar before I go in the studio, and I'll just take direct tracks down there and reamp them. It just depends. But
Yeah.
we don't. We go in and get it done pretty quick.
Well, you guys must rehearse a lot if you're that prepared when you go in. It saves a lot of studio time, and I can't imagine you guys do a lot of overdubs and tricky, arrangements in the studio. It's pretty straightforward, right?
It's very straightforward. And the reason we don't spend much time in the studio isn't necessarily because we're not well prepared. It's just, who can afford to go in and record a full length album in 2025?
Right, right.
It's so expensive.
Especially when record companies aren't willing to put up the money.
Yeah, right. It's hard. It's hard to go in and spend a lot of money on an album you're not going to fucking recoup on. So it's
who's rich these days? When we recorded "Keeping Up with the Joneses," we didn't spend a cent. They were paying for everything, but that was back in the mid '80s. Pizza, cocaine, all that stuff. It was flowing like whatever. But it's different nowadays. Even when we did the Vice Principals in 2001. We, believe it or not, got an advance from Simply for the Record Industry to pay for it, and it's not like that anymore. That was, of course, pre-streaming, and don't get me started about my royalty checks since then. But it's hard to make a buck these days being in a band, not like it used to be.
Yeah, the advances. It's not the same as it was 15 or 20 years ago, where you could get a decent advance as an independent band to go in and do something. Now bands are just going in and doing it themselves. But I think there's also, for us, we license our stuff out. I'm not giving anyone my music. We'll license it out for release, but I'm not turning over the rights to any of my music to anyone.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Like, it's not worth it to me.
Yeah, and it's incredible how much, like I was just complaining a minute ago, my royalty checks have gone down since they started the streaming stuff. I used to get $1,000 royalty checks from BMI and BMG, like, what is it, 3 or 4 times a year, and now they're like $58, and the band is more popular than ever. But what do you make, like $1 for every million streams or something ridiculous like that? It's and that's why the labels don't want to give you any money, because they can't sell any records, not like they used to. Nobody pays for music anymore. Some people do. Thank goodness for them. And people buy if we have any vinyl at the shows, people are good enough to buy it. But there's collectors and stuff. In fact, I just did an interview with Goldmine magazine a couple weeks ago, and I was honored. I started reading that magazine back in the early '80s. It's like a record collector thing. I was surprised they even knew who I was, but it was it's just nothing's like it used to be. It's I'm surprised really that there's even bands that play rock and roll, because it's you got to really love it, because you're not going to get rich doing it like you could before.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the only reason we do it is because we'd love to do it. We'd love to write music. We'd love to play live. But
Yeah.
our expectations beyond that are not very high.
Yeah. Like that thing that we did that night with you guys in Orange County. We're still waiting to get paid. We may never get paid, and it's like, we drove down there, and even after the guy told me before he played that we weren't going to get paid the night, we, in good faith, we went ahead and played. And it's just sad the way that they take advantage of bands. These people call themselves promoters, but they don't promote anything. They expect the band to do the promotion, and it's insane. They just fill in spots on a calendar and wait to get, rake in the big bucks. And if they don't get me started, Jason. I don't know what to talk about.
I mean, James Brown and Chuck Berry had it right. They wouldn't start playing until they had the money.
I got to say, last year we played at I think it was last year, we played the Whiskey A Go Go in Hollywood, and they paid us our guarantee a week before the show. I thought that was great, man. Everybody should do that. But guarantee means nothing. It doesn't mean, a guarantee doesn't mean, at least that was my experience these last few shows. Usually we get what we ask for. It's not a problem. They want us back. But man, that last round was so much confusion and just clubs playing dirty tricks. And I don't know.
The Whiskey can afford to pay you a week before the show, because 2 months before your show, they charge the opening bands pay to play. So that's where all your money up front's coming from.
They charged the bands $800. At least they did the night that we played. The opening bands each paid $800 to be on the bill, and I think there was 4 of them. So that's where our guarantee came from. I mean, we was crowded, so they probably did okay. But yeah, that's how they were able to pay us before the show, was from the opening bands paying to play.
Yeah, I mean, when Chris told us we could play shows with you, I was like, oh, we can play with the Joneses and we don't have to pay anybody up front? I thought, we'll take it. We'll fly out right away.
Yeah, just make your checks out to Jeff Drake. We'll have you on the bill anytime you want. Just come on out. So we're having a horrible rainstorm here, Jason. On Friday, we got 4 months worth of rain in one day. And I know you guys have some pretty crazy storms out there, but man, it's crazy. It's still raining. This is what, Monday night? And we're not used to that.
We're just dealing with Texas weather out here. It was 40 degrees 2 days ago. Now it's 80 degrees. It'll be 30 degrees next week, and then 85 again the week after that. And that'll go on until February. Then the weather it'll cool off for about a month, and then it will be sticky, uncomfortable, hot the next month for the next 8 months.
Yeah, I think the worst storm I've ever been in was Joneses were driving across West Texas. I think it was West Texas on one of our tours, and it was raining. The lightning was going sideways across the sky. It was raining so hard we had to pull under like an overpass because we couldn't see. I mean, it was just like pounding rain, and everything was flooding, and it was crazy. I'd never seen a storm like that. It was insane.
Yeah, the lightning storms are pretty crazy down here for sure.
Yeah, I'd never seen lightning go sideways like that. It was.
Yeah. That's Texas for you.
How do the aardvarks? I mean, the armadillos. How do they even survive and stuff like that? They just roll up in a ball and float away.
Yeah, they just get under that hard shell and everything just bounces off of them. I guess, I don't know.
Have you ever eaten an armadillo?
No, I don't get. I see them all the time, but I don't get near them. The whole leprosy thing, I don't.
Oh, they have leprosy. I didn't know that.
Something like that, yeah.
They also might have the plague. I know there's some plague, especially in the Four Corners area of, like, what is it, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, the fleas and the rodents, stuff, the bubonic plague. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty wild. The first time I went to Texas, see those armadillos running around everywhere. It's like, what's that? Is that a dinosaur?
So, hey, I wanted to ask you a couple things about our shows. The guitar that you're playing. What kind of guitar? The guitar you're playing. What's the story behind that?
I'll tell you about both of them. I've got a 1961 Silvertone model 1446. They call it the Chris Isaak model because that's what he played, but obviously it came out way before Chris Isaak was ever anything. Yeah. That's the black hollow body that I play in the Open G songs. And then the other one is a single cutaway Les Paul Special TV model. And that, I think, is 2019. I bought it during the COVID from a guy who had just bought it. I guess he realized it was a mistake. He couldn't afford to keep it, so I was lucky enough to be the second owner. And I love both of those guitars. The Silvertone, the black hollow body I've had, I actually got it from Dave James in the mid 90s. I had just gotten out of prison, didn't have a guitar, and he had that one, and I traded a stereo that I had that he wanted for the guitar. And then, yeah, like I said, I've had that one for 30 years, longest I've ever had a guitar. And I love it because it's a hollow body. It only feeds back if you want it to. You got to really try. I love that guitar. Love it.
Yeah. I like that. The Les Paul Special, I have one of those, and I think it might be the same year, the year after. But I thought those were done really well. Like for years, it seems like Gibson put out a lot of the instruments weren't very well made. And when I played that one, I was like, oh wow, I guess they're getting serious about making guitars again. Because when I played it, and I played some of the original ones, and I was like, this is great guitar.
Yeah. The one I have
Yeah.
now, I had two before that were from, I think one was from the 90s and one was from the early aughts or something. And I didn't like them. They just sounded crappy and they didn't feel like they were made very well. And then when I got this one, I'm like, wow. And I've heard that 2019 is supposed to be a really good year for those. And I believe it. I love that guitar, man.
Yeah.
It sounds good. It plays good. Doesn't go out of tune. I mean, I got no complaints. I love those guitars.
Yeah. And what were you playing for an amp?
Oh, it's called a Carvin Nomad. I bought it
Oh,
brand
yeah.
new and Carvin makes good amps. I mean, they don't get a lot of the first time I played a Carvin, I was in high school. This guy I knew that was like a great guitar player named Bill Denny. I really looked up to him when I was in high school, and he had this Carvin stack thing that he let me borrow it once. So I'm like, man, that sounds great. And I needed to get an amp because like I said, I think I had just gotten back to LA after going to school in Merced, and we were doing like a comeback show at the Airliner, and I didn't have an amp, and I went down on Hollywood Boulevard, and I found that one. And you're talking about the blonde one, right? It's all tubes, it's like a combo thing. It's called a
Yeah.
Carvin Nomad. I bought it new, so I've had it for I think about it in 2007, so I've had it almost 20 years. I've never had a problem with it of any kind. I love the way it sounds. I've also got a Supro Delta 12 or Delta King 12 that I play in the house, and it's great. It's loud enough I could use it on stage. Dave doesn't like me to because he doesn't think it's loud enough, but I think it is. But I think the Carvin's 50 watts, and I think the Supro, it says it's 5 watts, but there's no way. It's got to be at least 35, unless they're measuring it differently now. But Parwack, stay away from the computer. But yeah, that Supra sounds great too. I just bought that just maybe 4 years ago. But yeah, it's a great amp too.
I thought the balance of your and Dave's guitars, I thought that the tones and the balance were really good when you guys played. Like I could hear both sides of the stage what was going on. It was real clear.
Oh well, thanks. We're both kind of tone freaks, and I don't ever get to hear us play because I'm on stage. So I'm glad that you said that because I have no idea how it sounds out front ever. I mean, people say, "Yeah, it sounds good," but I don't know. I mean, I like to see for myself, and it's impossible really unless I get like a long lead. Anyway, that's all boring stuff. But thanks, Jason. That means a lot because like I said, we're both tone freaks, and so we want it to sound good.
Yeah, it was definitely good.
Well, thanks.
When you guys playing again?
Nothing's set up. I just got a new job.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It took me 2 years, but I'm working at the Bloomingdale's department store, so I'll be helping a bunch of rich old ladies in the San Fernando Valley over Christmas time. But we're gonna set up another show at Alex's in Long Beach. We do really well there, and they always pay us what we ask, and there's never any weirdness, and we pack them in. So probably I don't know, February or March. I got to call Alex is coming. We can set it up, but that's going to be the next thing. And I keep saying this will be the last one. I got to retire, kids. I'm going to be older than I want to be next year, and I keep getting dragged back in. I don't know.
Well, tell Alex I said hello. I love his club, and he treats the bands right there.
You know, Alex tried to kill me one night. You want to hear that story?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Alex used to be huge. He used to weigh like 400 pounds. This
Right.
is when I was in the Vice Principals and I lived in Long Beach,
Uh-huh.
walking distance from the bar. And we would go in there almost every night drinking. That's when I still drank. And we got that advance money from Sympathy, and we would go out drinking every night. And he's one night or one Sunday afternoon, some friends of mine came by and said, "Hey Jeff, let's go to Alex's and drink." And I said, "Okay." And one said, "No, Jeff, you can't go. Alex said you're 86 from the bar." And I'm like, "Why?" And I spend a lot of money in there. And I said, "Well, last night you broke a glass on the bar and you started cussing and stuff." And he said, "You're not allowed to come back unless he gets to beat you up." And I'm like, "Ah, come on, that's a joke, right?" I go down there with them and I walk in and Alex says, "Oh no, you know the deal. You can't come back in here unless I get to punch you as hard as I can in the stomach." I'm like, he's kidding, right? So I said, "All right, man, cool." So I'm standing there and I'm like, tensing up because I think he might actually hit me. So he took like a running start, like 20 feet away. Like I said, at that time, the guy was like 400 pounds. He's lost a lot of weight since then. He's probably half that now. Like 400 pounds, took a running start. And instead of punching me in the stomach, he punched me in the chest. And people said they could hear it from
Oh.
outside the club. And I felt my heart go blah, blah, blah. But I stayed on my feet miraculously. But I was pissed off. And so I didn't go there for a long time. And, he kept asking me, do Jonas. I'm like, no, I'm not coming back in your stinking club. Anyway, we finally went back there in 2007. We did a show with Eddie and the Hot Rods, and he was a
Oh, rad.
gentleman. You know, he bought me or gave me a big gin and tonic and stuff, and we sort of made up. And now we're cool again. And Jonas has played there, and he takes good care of us. But yeah, he could have killed me. I mean, I'm lucky my heart kept beating after that because he put all of his weight into it. And he must have really been pissed off at me because that was dangerous. But I
Yeah.
survived.
Hey, how many shows did Vice Principals play? Like, what was the duration of the band? I have the record. I never saw it live, and I didn't know the backstory on it.
There weren't that many. Let's see, we got together in early 2000, and by spring of 2001, we were broken up. And we let's see, the thing about the Vice Principals is right off the bat we started telling people we wouldn't play for less than $1,000 a show, which at that time was a lot of money. And we
Mhm.
got it because we were kind of selling. It's like, oh, it's the Joneses and the Humperds and blah blah blah. And we used to play at the Garage in LA, and we play at the Foothill in Long Beach. And we did a run up in San Francisco and Sacramento, and I don't know, maybe Pyewacket, get back. We did maybe a dozen shows altogether, maybe 20, not that many, because like I said, we were only together for like maybe a year and a half. And the first
Uh-huh.
couple months we're rehearsing and writing songs and stuff. So yeah, it didn't stay together very long. Originally that band was I was gonna do a solo record because I was tired of the Joneses, and Amanda Jones had run its course. I wanted to do something different. And so I started compiling people and stuff. And me and my brother were kind of estranged at that point. And I asked him, I was going to do one of his songs called Switchblade, which is on the record. And I asked him if he wanted to sing backup vocals on the song, sort of bury the hatchet with him. And
Mhm.
he said, "Why don't we do a band together?" And I'm like, wow, that's kind of wild idea. And so I started thinking, man, maybe that's not such a bad idea, because I knew that this guy John Murmis from Sympathy for the Record Industry, Long Gone John, was a big fan of my brother's. And I thought, with me and my brother in the band, because we had never played together. I had done some shows with the Suicide Kings filling out on bass and stuff, but I had never really done a band with my brother. And Pyewacket, I'm warning you. And then anyway, so I thought, we could probably get a lot of money out of this guy. So we went and went over to his house and pitched in the idea of doing a Vice Principals record with me and my brother. And we hit him with the number that we wanted, and he asked me to wait outside while he discussed it with my brother. I don't know why he wanted me out of the room, but anyway, I came back in and he wrote us the check, and the rest is history.
Hey,
What do you think
Erica,
about that record?
the internet went out. Are you using
Are
it?
you there, Jason? Are we done, Jason? Oops, I guess we're done. All right, kids, thanks for tuning in. This has been Jonesing with Jeff Drake, and that's all we got.